What's up, Faith students? My name is Pastor Jordan. I'm the middle school pastor at the Summerville campus, and I'm excited because today we're going to be starting our new series talking about all who Jesus is, because the truth is who Jesus is affects who we are as Christians. And for this week, I want to look at how Jesus is relevant. And have you guys ever asked the question, does Jesus really know what I'm going through? And I remember the first time and the only time I went ziplining, and I have heard about how much fun it is, and I thought it would be a great opportunity. So I had this opportunity when I was in high school while I was on a mission trip in Jamaica to go ziplining over these waterfalls. And we hiked up this river that had multiple waterfalls that were kind of zigzagging from tree to tree. And we had to hike all the way up to the top. And once we got to the top, we ziplined down. And it was an amazing experience. But at the same time, it was really intense because unlike in America, where they have fancy ways to stop the zip line, their fancy way to stop a zip line in Jamaica is to wrap a tree with pads, which were actually just mattresses, and you had to go full speed to stop into the mattresses on the tree. And like, as a freshman in high school, I didn't really think about all the bad things that could happen because of it. I was a thrill seeker at the moment, and I was just like, this is gonna be fun. It was a little YOLO experience. But it was one of those moments that you couldn't really understand what the experience was until you have experienced it. And if we're honest, sometimes I think, sometimes we treat God in that way. We think that there is no way that he could possibly know how it feels to go through what I'm going through right now. But I want to look at a story in the Bible of Jesus that will bring some clarity to that. And the story is found in John 11, verses 30 through 35. And then we're going to pick up at 43 through 44. And it says, Jesus stayed outside the village at the place where Martha met him. When the people who were at the house consoling Mary saw her leave so hastily, they assumed she was going to Lazarus' grave to weep. So they followed her there. When Mary arrived and saw Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, a deep anger welled up within him, and he was deeply troubled. "Where have you put him?" he asked them. They told him, "Lord, come and see." Then Jesus wept. And in that moment, some people said, see, look how much Jesus loved Lazarus, that Jesus himself, would weep. And then the other people, they were saying, this is the same man that healed a blind man. Why couldn't he save Lazarus if he loved him so much? And then Jesus goes to show up at the tomb of Lazarus, and he told them to roll the stone aside. But Martha was trying to stop him, saying, Lazarus has been dead for 4 days, Jesus. Like, it's not going to smell that great. Like, I don't know what you're really thinking of doing right now. It's not a really good idea. But Jesus responds with something that is great, that we can really learn a lot from. And he says, didn't I tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe? And this is where we're going to pick up in verse 43 and 44. And it says, then Jesus shouted, Lazarus, come out. And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. Jesus told them, unwrap him and let him go. See, Jesus knew that he would heal Lazarus and raise him from the dead. Like, that wasn't anything that was shocking to Jesus. He knew what he was going to do. But even so, knowing what he was going to do, he still wept in that moment. And we can think why. And I think it's because Jesus didn't suffer for us. He suffers with us. And when we're walking with Jesus, that doesn't mean that you will never weep. It just means that you're never going to weep alone. Because here's the truth. As long as there's hurt, pain, anxiety, depression, joy, love, and hope exist in this world, Jesus will be relevant. And I love the way that Hebrews 14:15 says it. And it says that this high priest of ours understands our weaknesses, for he faced all of the same testings that we do, yet he did not sin. And this is great because Jesus didn't go through the same things that we go through. He lived in a different time period in history, in a completely different culture than the way that we're living in today. But he still felt the same things that we feel today. And he had victory over them on the cross. So what does that really mean for us? And I think number one, it means that Jesus understands what we're going through. It means that whatever we go through, we can know that Jesus can help. So whether you're going through anxiety, we know that Jesus sweated drops of blood because of the anxiety that he was feeling. Whether you're dealing with depression, we know that Jesus felt abandoned and betrayed by the people who were supposed to be closest to him. Whether you're struggling with fear in your life, we know that Jesus asked if there were any other way that he could save the world other than the cross. Because Jesus understands our weaknesses because he went through them too. He faced similar things that we face today, and he had victory over them. And it means Jesus understands what we're going through, but it also means, my second point, that we can overcome through him. Ultimately, Jesus had victory, and so can we through him. We can have victory through him. The circumstances that we're facing, the feelings that we're feeling, they're not too much for Jesus to overcome. He already has overcome all of those things. So whatever we're facing, whether it's a feeling or circumstances that we can't control, we can overcome it in Jesus Christ through our prayers, through our worship, and through his word. And we're going to talk a little bit further on this in our discussions through your campus youth Instagram page. So head over to Instagram right now. We're going to have some live discussion with your youth group. If you're at Summerville, go to Faith Students Sville. Goose Creek, Faith Students GC, and North, Faith Students North. You guys have a great week. We'll be right back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. You guys have a great week.